I can tell you exactly the moment I got interested in Indigenous arts and why I set aside a recording career that was sputtering, okay? Let me put it that way. I had been working as a songwriter, a singer-songwriter in Toronto for some time. I had done some recording for Columbia, Canada. The music seemed very eclectic and it was hard to categorize. And I tell people it was postmodern before its time, that it was just too eclectic. The radio stations needed to block it into what kind of music is this? So I was not getting a lot of work, even though I had a group and had done some recording. And a friend of my wife gave me a copy of the book, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, in around 1972, 73, D. Brown's book. It was a history of Native American people in North America from an Indigenous point of view. And that book changed my life, so I ended up moving to Brandon, Manitoba to do a degree in Native Studies. I didn't know whether I could succeed in an academic context. The eureka moment in my time at Brandon was I was taking a class, like I remember these so vividly. I took a class in boreal anthropology and the professor said, I was asking the professor, do these people have an art tradition? And he said, well, why don't you go and do some research and come back and tell the class? I went to the library, I found a book on woodlands art and beadwork and quill work. It blew me away. It was like, what's all this? And I thought, if these people have an art tradition, all these other people must as well. And it was like, I want to know it all. I want to know all of that. And so that was the moment when I put together my art background with my incipient interest in Aboriginal peoples. And it was just like that. And it was like, okay, that's the focus I want to take for the rest of my time I'm in academia. And the other thing I felt like, if I wanted to know more about Indian art, where do I do that? And I thought, well, within a museum context. So I explored around and I thought the University of Arizona seems like the absolute best place that I could go. So my wife and I got in a car and we drove from Winnipeg to Tucson, and it was just a magical experience. So I was accepted into the anthropology program with a specialization in museum studies, but I also had an assistantship in museum display at the Arizona State Museum. And I thought, how cool is this? It's because I had a diploma from art school, I had a degree in Native Studies, and I had this passion for Aboriginal art. And so I got to work with Robert Baker and Ernie Levitt at the Arizona State Museum. And the display, the assistantship and display that I had, they allowed me to refurbish existing displays 10 hours a week, and so I did a number of those. And then in the second semester, I got to work just on one single display for about 100 hours. And that was the Hodges site, that was the Hodges site of Hohokam material culture. I'm a living example. I'm a living example of weaving together various talents or skills. Everybody has gifts, and you need to discover what that gift is. But anthropology teaches you to appreciate cultural difference, and it teaches you to empathize. And if there's ever a time we needed people to do that, that's today.